Welcome back. Well, the SpendTrend24 study has been released. It looks at data for the period of 2019 to 2023 and analyzes over 13 billion transactions made on 60 million credit cards worldwide. So that really giving us rich insight into consumer behavior right now. The study was jointly undertaken by Discovery Bank and Visa. And to delve into the detail of the research, I'm joined now by Discovery Bank CEO Hylton Kallner. Hylton, thanks so much for your time today. So that period really wasn't an easy one for consumers across the globe, given the pressure that disposable incomes were under, because we did see interest rates go higher, we did see inflation go higher as well. So how did that impact people's spending habits?
So I think you're quite correct. I mean, this was a really complex period, emerging out of COVID and then into a rising inflation and interest rate environment. We saw that there are a number of unique kind of aspects to SpendTrend24. The first is that South Africa, by contrast to the rest of the world, had a fairly resilient kind of spend pattern. So while consumers were certainly under pressure, and we saw that at its kind of peak in the mass market, the overall growth that we observed amongst cardholders in South Africa was approximately 3%, slightly behind inflation over the course of last year. The other interesting insight that we saw is that South Africa is really kind of leading the world in terms of digital wallet take-up. The digital banking and adoption rates around actually using digital cards is accelerating in South Africa dramatically. And in fact, we are amongst the leaders globally in that sense. So we kind of are resilient on the one hand and technology early adopters on the other, and that was quite interesting.
So we're going to delve into that in more detail. Let's start off with that resilience. What are you putting it down to? Why was South Africans really resilient during this period?
So I think, South Africans as a nation, I think, are kind of almost known to be resilient and associated with a kind of a sense of resilience. The spend patterns that we observe are not dissimilar to GDP in a sense that we don't see wild swings in our GDP figures, and at the same time, at a spend level, we've observed the same kind of trend. So in some of the developed markets in the survey, the inflation rates and cost of living crises that we saw across Europe and the US, for example, really kind of drove card spend significantly higher in specific segments. In South Africa, we saw about a -3% impact on spend in the mass market, and I think that's really reflecting the pressure of high interest rates in South Africa last year and rising interest rates. In the high net worth segment on the other end of the spectrum, we saw +3% growth. So kind of about a 6% variance, which was actually small relative to the rest of the world. So that's kind of the resilience that we're referring to. So notwithstanding real pressure in the market on consumers, a continued kind of upward trajectory on disposable spend and discretionary spend areas.
I'm sure when it comes to the digital banking side of things, of what this report revealed, you as the Discovery Bank CEO must be quite chuffed that this came through in that report, because it really did show that the South African consumer is willing to make that shift to digital. We saw online shopping transactions grow, we saw online grocery spend increase, and the popularity of digital wallets really rise as well. But Hylton, how do we contextualize this growth really? Do we see it as it's coming off a low base, so of course there's going to be growth, or are we really seeing this to be a sustained trend, and that digital banking is only going to grow and become more popular as the years go by?
So I think, we've seen the growth be sustained over multiple years now. So our expectation is that will continue. As you say, in the case of Discovery Bank, we're a digital bank, and so you would expect high rates of digital adoption. That's consistent with the entire approach. But South Africa as a whole is leading the world in terms of digital wallet adoption. Discovery Bank is about 70% ahead of the rest of the market in South Africa. So we're kind of a digital adoption leader in a market that has got real acceleration in digital wallet usage. It's a really good thing because it's more secure and it's more convenient for customers. And so we see this as a trend that is likely to continue. And in fact, I think banks are promoting digital wallet use actively because of the fact that it is much more secure for clients, and therefore is good for the bank and good for the consumer. As you said, we also saw significant increases in online spend, in particular in groceries. And while the online spend itself is increasing at a faster rate than in-store, what's interesting is that's almost a function of kind of connecting online to physical, in a sense, where home deliveries and the convenience of on-demand deliveries from grocery stores and supermarkets is really fueling that. So kind of the ability for digital and online shopping to bridge the gap to in-store is real, and we're seeing that play out.
Hylton, ultimately, how does Discovery Bank now take this wealth of information that you are able to access through the report and translate that into your offering to clients and to the business model?
So it typically manifests in two areas for our clients. The first is the kind of the service channels and the service offering that we're able to deliver to our clients. So when we look at and we see how clients are transacting, that informs the kind of the way that we can improve the quality of service and the channel that our clients can access. So that's the first. The second is in the products that we offer to our clients. So when it comes to sort of enabling digital payments, digital wallets, we were first to market, and that was in line with the trend that we were seeing. And so it actually informs the sort of the research and development and the products that we launched to our clients. We launched Solar on the back of the SpendTrend, or Solar benefits on the back of SpendTrend23 last year, where we saw that need and the link between load shedding and spend patterns, and SpendTrend24 does exactly the same for us. It gives us insights into how people are spending, particularly with retailers, grocery stores, streaming online, and kind of the kind of granular detail of their buying behaviors and habits that helps us really kind of design products that are more relevant.
Well, we look forward to seeing how these findings translate into products, but we're unfortunately out of time, so let's leave it there for today. Hylton, thank you so much for joining us. Hylton Kallner is the CEO of Discovery Bank, and there's lots more to come though, so be sure to stay tuned to Business Day TV.